What does every single business owner that your MSP would love to work with have in common? It's something they take everywhere with them and they look at over 100 times a day. Yeah, I'm talking about their trusty mobile phone. Pretty much everyone out there would love to get their sales and marketing messages onto those phones. Hasn't that become the holy grail of the 21st century? A great way of doing it is with SMS, text messages. But can MSPs do that? What are the pros? What are the cons? And how do you actually do it? Well, listen up, because my special guest right now is an SMS marketing expert, and he's got this message for you.
Hey, I'm Chris Verson, CEO and co-founder of Sales Message.
And it's epic to have you on the show, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us, because we're going to answer a very big question today. Should MSPs use text messages, SMS, as part of their overall marketing mix? Now, you are an expert at this to the extent that you started your own company. So tell us about the business that you started. What kind of got you started with that in the first place?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So I had my own company. We were sending emails, we were making phone calls, but no one was picking up and no one was replying to those emails. But magically, when I could text them, I actually got responses. And so rather than using my own phone, I thought, you know what, there's got to be a better way. How do I put this into a product, turn it into a software? And essentially, that's where the idea came from. Was just a need of me wanting a conversational texting platform so I could send and receive text to leads, to customers. And obviously today it's grown past that with a lot more automation and engagement tools. So you can grow your list, you can engage with them and essentially convert leads faster, close more deals, and use SMS to sort of at the front of the funnel, connect with people. So yeah, MSPs, I mean, look, I'm a marketing professional. So most of the stuff that we're doing is how are we capturing leads, right? So if we're doing social, if we have web forms, we have contact forms, we're already capturing this information. And in most cases, maybe we're capturing a phone number, but we've never really done anything with it. And so maybe when they fill that form out, we're emailing. Maybe we're calling and they're not picking up. And so now we have this sort of back and forth game. SMS sort of closes that gap, right? Or text messaging or messaging closes that gap. Ultimately, everyone is on their phones. More and more people don't want to talk on the phone or get calls from unknown numbers. So it's transformed into a whole different platform, but ultimately it started with that core problem. How do we make messages great again?
Yeah. Right. And I think I love any business that's been started by someone who's solving their own problem and realizes that, hey, if I've got this problem, other people are going to have this problem, and there's a business to be created. That always fascinates me. And it's so exciting to see that you've built that and you've grown it, and obviously you've taken it and started building in automation, all of the other stuff. What is it about SMS that stands out? Is it the difference between SMS and email? Is it the fact that email is passive? So the email sits there waiting for you to go and check it, which makes it convenient for me, the consumer, right? Mm-hmm. But whereas an SMS demands my attention because it could be my other half, it could be my child, it could be sort of friend or something. Is that the thing that makes SMS more effective, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's, I like to say there's really three channels, right? Again, we've got calling, we have email, and then we have messaging or SMS. And so SMS is just sort of native on the phone. There's no app to download. Obviously, around the world, WhatsApp as a messaging platform is, how in the UK or in Latin America, that's the messaging platform. It's just that it gets a great response. So when you send a text message, if I know you have a phone number, you're going to get that text message. And so you'll get that message. That's a 98% open rate. The stats are within 15 minutes, 85% of people are going to open that text message. So if there's a way to get in touch with someone, or at least get your message out, you're going to rely on SMS. And so just because it's an inherent tool, everybody has it. It's just the way that we're all connecting and engaging. And it's changed a lot, right? Like, it's gotten more busy, obviously, because it's so effective. The carriers really from even a WhatsApp perspective, they want to limit the bad actors that are coming through. And so how do you cut through that clutter? And context really matters. So when somebody is going to your website, they're filling out a form, they're requesting a demo, they are buying your product, right? At that moment, that's when you can engage with SMS. So one great thing we do is when someone books a demo, we just automatically send them a text message. Hey, it's Chris. Thanks for signing up for the demo. Hey, what's the number one thing you'd love to talk about on our call? And it just starts that conversation, because really what you're trying to get to is a conversation, is an engagement. And you may discover, and we discover all the time, hey, you know what? This is not a great lead, or hey, this actually is a great lead. Boom. And then you open up the opportunity. Hey, can I just give you a call? And you can bypass that. So when you call somebody cold, the likelihood they're going to pick up is very low. But if you go from SMS, have a conversation with them and say, hey, can I call you real quick? Hop on a call, and now you can move towards that. So it really becomes more of I would say, a permission-based channel to get to that next step. Now, there's amazing things you can do from, again, the lead engagement side, putting it into an AI agent that could essentially have conversations, capture data. It's really quite simple to do, but that's this new future of AI messaging. So conversations have always been sort of this, there's a human on the other end, and there's, a delay in a response, and that's dependent on people and team to sort of get to those responses. But now with this AI world, you could essentially scale conversations like code. And so that's sort of this new future that every business has that new capacity to allow conversations in their business to help them grow.
Yeah, I love it. So I love your emphasis on conversations and engagement over and above just sending out a message, broadcasting something.
Right.
And almost the broadcast of, hey, something's happening, do this. It almost feels like the 2010 way of doing texting, whereas as essentially you're just using it as another channel. Because you're right, it's all opening up on the phone, whether it's on my email, my WhatsApp, my Telegram, my SMS, one of my other messaging channels. It's all just messaging. But as you say, every single phone on the planet, even the old Nokia ones from 1997, they all still get text messages, right? And they all still work. So that makes perfect sense. So I think if I was talking to an MSP about this, they may have one or both of two fears. The first fear they might have would be, but I don't want to interrupt someone. I don't want to interrupt them at the wrong time. That would be the first fear. And the second fear would be, text messaging, that's for consumer marketing, whereas we're doing business to business marketing. Yep. So in your experience and with I think you work with thousands of companies, how valid are those two fears?
Not very valid. I think the way to look at it is most folks, when they come into SMS, they think about that. Like, well, how do I apply this to my business? So we have a framework. It's called Textize Your Business. And what that means is you can use it to capture leads, right? To connect, to convert, and then to really care for your customers. So we're a B2B company. We generate leads, right? We want to engage with those leads. We want to drive them to a meeting or to sending a promotional text to get them to buy a product. We also want to get a review from them. And we also want to support them being a customer. So B2C is sort of this high volume SMS marketing, which is, hey, we're going to broadcast, and the core is we're going to drive revenue. However, in a B2B is you have that capture, connect, convert, and care. And so the way to look at that is, how can we use messaging to capture leads? So if you're speaking from stage or you're doing a presentation, you have an audience. How do you convert that audience into leads? You can have people scan a QR code or text this phone number, and you can put them through just an automated little bot to capture their name, their email. Hey, thanks for checking out the presentation. Hey, what's the best email I can send you the slides? Oh, my email is this. All right. And then boom, you capture an email. You can then push it to your marketing automation tool to deliver that lead magnet, right? So that's one way to do it. If you have web forms, which most everybody has, now you can turn that into a mechanism to capture, to then get into that conversation, if you will. And so the conversation is two-way texting. So you can text from your computer. You can call, you can use your phone, right? We have a mobile app. And so anywhere you are, you can get into those conversations. And then the conversion side is if you want to send out those promotional type texts, or you need to book a meeting. We've got a way to take leads into booking meetings. So one thing that MSPs can look at, especially if you're offering these services to other companies, is what I call sort of this messy middle. So there are companies that are generating leads and they need to convert those leads into meetings. Well, how do you go about doing it? Well, you're calling, you're emailing, maybe you're texting, and you sort of have this sort of messiness in between to go through this qualification process. The new way is to put them into an AI SMS or messaging conversation that can engage with them with real language, right? Using AI and your brand, and is going to qualify them. So for us, it's important to know, hey, what CRM do you use? Where are you based? And these qualifying questions that this AI agent can effectively capture that information, qualify, and then book a meeting. So you go from generating leads to booking meetings. And so it can eliminate a lot of this messiness that happens in between, because messaging is the channel that people connect. And so then the care is, hey, how do we support those customers, through all that? And you can integrate this into many tools, but that's the way to look at it. You go, oh, wow, now I can layer on, how do I integrate messaging to do this? One of the big challenges businesses have is you do meetings and there's a no-show problem. A tiny little message, little text that you can send is, if we're going to go out to lunch, Paul, probably the night before or the morning of, I would just send you a text. Hey, just following up. Hey, are we still on for noon today? I just want to make sure, right? And just that little confirmation text can increase, 10, 15, 20% attendance to your meetings. And so these are just some of these little tiny things you can do across the business that will make a great impact. And so that's the way we look at it, as textizing it.
I love that. This. I mean, you've just thrown some insanely great ideas out there. Let's bring it back to first steps. So if you assume that the MSPs who are either listening to this on the podcast or watching this on YouTube, not using SMS right now, maybe don't have a lot of automation platforms, because many of the MSPs that I speak to, they might have a basic CRM, but they're using it as a place to keep email addresses and just send emails. There's not necessarily an automation platform. What would you recommend would be because there's all those things you could do, but where would you recommend the average MSP should get started with building SMS into their sort of marketing funnel?
Yeah, so running a quick audit. So do you have web forms? Great. Are you capturing a phone number? Awesome. Are you sending a text? No. That's a great place to start. On your website, do you have your phone number? Is that phone number textable? One of the things that we find is a lot of businesses out there are using maybe an older calling platform, and it's just calling. There is no SMS. So we can enable that number to become textable. And what happens many times is they enable texting for that number they've had for 5, 10, 15 years, and all of a sudden text messages start coming in. And they're like, oh my gosh, how have I been missing this? And so there are these hidden assets that are already existing in the business, right? 1, do you have a number? Is it textable? 2, do you have web forms? Add SMS to get to this quick engagement, to have a real conversation with them. 3, are people buying a product of yours? You're probably already asking for a phone number. What are you doing with that? So those are 3 super simple assets that you already have in your business that messaging can enhance the business big time.
Yeah, I love that. Chris, you've been absolutely great. Before I let you go, I'm actually going to ask you, and I never normally do this on the podcast, I'm going to ask you a trivia question, because we have a service called the MSP Marketing Edge. And just a few months ago, one of our pieces of social media content that we wrote was about the first ever SMS message that was sent. So this one was sort of is top of brain for me. So two questions for you. When was it sent? And you can give me just a year. So what year was the first ever SMS sent? And what was the first ever SMS message?
You're putting me on the spot. I should probably know the answer to this question. Oh my gosh, Paul. I don't know. I do not know.
Okay.
I'm going to say, I'm going to guess 1983. and it says hello.
Bit early. It was December 1992, which is surprising. You know, I'm 50, so I was like 18, and I can't believe the first SMS was only sent when I was 18. That made my head explode.
Wow.
And it was an engineer in the UK working for a company called Vodafone, which still exists, which is one of our big four networks here. And the first ever SMS message simply said, "Merry Christmas." Simple as that. And it was a test. It was a test from one engineer to another. And in fact, they actually developed SMS. I think I read this somewhere else. They developed SMS just as a way for the engineers to communicate with each other when they were out like fixing all the cell towers and stuff like that. And then some executive at Vodafone saw it and thought, oh, I think the customers would like that. And the legend goes, I think that's where SMS comes from. So there you go. You can now use that as a bit of trivia in future podcast interviews and just look like a genius. Chris, that's been a really informative interview. Thank you so much. So just tell us a little bit more about your business. What exactly is the platform? How does it, I mean, you mentioned like you can send text messages from your laptop instead of a phone, which we can all immediately see the advantage of that. But what exactly does your platform do? And how can MSPs go and have a look at it, maybe get a demo and see if it's right for them?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, is we allow engagement over SMS. And so as you generate leads, you can have conversations over SMS, and we help you drive speed to lead. So leads generated to get to that next step, to engage with them, to book a meeting, to drive revenue. And so we're really big on that front end part of the business. So most companies come to us, we're like, look, I'm generating these leads, I'm not engaging with them. And SMS has been this massive unlock of like, whoa, this thing works really well. So that's a big focus for us. You know, we're a calling platform as well. So you can do messaging, calling, you know, do a lot of really cool automation stuff as well. That's actually really easy. It's not like an overwhelming task. So they can just go to salesmessage.com, check out the site. We'd love to show you what is possible with messaging, with SMS. And soon we'll have WhatsApp for the rest of the world, which would be really fun and exciting.
Paul Green's MSP Marketing Edge.